Hey everyone, it is Evan here from the Trade Risk on Wednesday, February 19th. We are intraday right now, and this is our weekly trade ideas video where we bring you some of the names on our watch list, stocks that are holding up well, showing some relative strength, and ideally are not yet too extended in their moves. As always, these videos are powered by our partners over at Investors Business Daily. We curate ideas from their stock lists. You can get access to their stock lists with a link in the description of this video. So we got 5 names we're looking at today, 3 from IBD's watch list, 2 from our watch list, actually 2 from our active position list, 2 of these names that we do own right now. So we're going to sort of talk our book at the second half of this video. So let's jump into it. The first one here is BAH. This here comes from IBD's watch list, and it's been, more or less consolidating here. I mean, it recently broke out at the start of 2019, but it's, back where it's currently trading, it's effectively exactly where it was in September of 2019. But if we zoom out a little bit further, you notice that this has been in a much longer structural uptrend here for multiple years at a time. And this is, in fact, trading just underneath its all-time highs. So we actually have a pretty interesting setup here where we have this nice, call it 5-month base here moving sideways between about $68 to $78. We have this tighter kind of pullback here, this channel that it's been pulling back from off of its highs, and I think now's the time to sort of pay attention to it. Earnings are out of the way, and if this can start to actually break through the upper end of this channel, if this can, more importantly, start breaking over $79, I think this looks pretty interesting here to start to emerge from a multi-month pattern like this. Longer term uptrend comes from IBD's profile here, so some of those fundamentals have been vetted, and overall a pretty good story for BAH. So that's the first idea coming from IBD's list. Number 2, also from their list, and this comes from their IPO list, is a company called PING, Ping Identity. Not familiar with this prior to looking at this scan here, but I like the pattern on this young issue. Again, it's only been a public company for about 6 months now, but if we look here a little bit closer, you can see it's just about getting back to its prior highs. Just put in a nice multi-week consolidation pattern, found some support underneath that $25 level, so you have kind of a good level to measure some risk against. And again, it's coming back up to its prior highs. Trend is up, so PING, if you like IPOs, this one here I think looks pretty interesting. And last but not least, from IBD's list is WEX. This is WEX. This one here also kind of reminds me of the BAH, where it has basically the sideways consolidation. This one much longer though, because it's effectively been moving sideways here for almost 10 months. And then take a look at the volume at the bottom of the screen here as it's coming in, as this is breaking out of this consolidation. If we go to a weekly chart, I think it shows the nice picture here. Just take a look at last week's volume. You can see so far we're trying to follow this up. This looks like it will be all-time high weekly closes. So nice pattern here, longer term uptrend, lots of fuel moving sideways, and might get a nice trend to emerge here in this particular name. So that's it from IBD's list. 3 names there. The next 2 come from our, again, active position list. In fact, we own both of these holdings, so let's jump into them. The first here is a gold stock. This is EGO, Eldorado Gold, and this does report earnings this week, so you do have to keep that in mind. We own it. We're going to hold it through earnings. That's what we do in our Merlin strategy. You can learn more about it on the traderisk.com. But for now, what you can see here, and the reason why this is sort of showcased as a new idea, is because of the breakdown failure that occurred here basically over the past 2 weeks or so. So what we had was this prior support pretty well defined here around $7 all the way up to about $7.10. You can see we've basically we tested that multiple times over the past 4 or 5 months. Buyers continued to step in there, and then we got this big whoosh down. We got this big breakdown 2 weeks ago on the 4th with a 9% down day, breaking through this technical support. Now, what happened though was we didn't get follow through to the downside. We didn't get a trend to emerge. We didn't get acceleration lower. We, in fact, basically washed out, ran stops, and seemed to, again, anything, this could certainly roll back over. We don't talk in absolutes here, but when it broke down on this particular day, it seemed to run the stops and basically capitulate all of the longs that were trading against this level. There was no follow through, and in fact, you can see with yesterday's session here, a 10.5% move to the upside on 150% volume does kind of support here the fact that this did make some type of short-term bottom here, little capitulation, stop run, whatever you want to label it. I think the key here is that we're back over $7, and as long as we're back over $7, I like the name here for EGO in the gold space. And again, we know gold commodity starting to break out. We covered that yesterday in our recap video. So lots to like here for EGO, but it does have earnings coming up, so do keep that in mind. This is a holding of ours, still a full position, no profits or anything like that have been harvested, looking for higher prices in this name. Next up is CRSP. So this was a name, if you're familiar, if you check in and watch these videos weekly, this was a trade idea that we surfaced on the end of January. And this was a holding for us then. It's still a current active holding for us right now. So when we first showcased this name, it was trading right, basically exactly where it is right now. We did this video on the 22nd, talked about this pullback, talked about the long-term kind of momentum move here that happened in the fourth quarter. We were pulling back, and we, of course, initiated a position. We got the initial move wrong. In other words, our timing was not accurate on this name, because when we showcased it here, it did have another 5-6 days of downward prices. It got all the way as low as 50. I think we showcased it around 57. So if your stop was within 10% or so, then you potentially got stopped out there. Our stop was wider on this name, still is wider on the name, and we just managed to hold through this pullback, and it's starting to recover now. So again, it's not out of the woods yet. It still needs to prove itself a bit more, but take a look at the upper volume that has come in here over the past week or so. We broke through this down channel line. We're still working our way up. Again, it has more to prove, and I think based on where this is trading, we're still technically down in this name. I think we own it in the 58s. So we're still negative on this position, but we're holding on to it like it still is a trade idea, like the longer term structure, and like the potential here. So we own it, and looking for higher prices there in CRSP. Earnings are out of the way, I believe, in this name. You always want to double check, but they should be out of the way. So that's it. That's what we have for this week's Trade Ideas video. We got 5 names, a couple of different looks there. Hopefully you found something interesting. Again, do your homework on these names. And if you do want to learn more about the strategy that we're talking about here in these 2 holdings, that is the Merlin strategy. You can find it on thetraderisk.com. Thanks so much, as always, for tuning in and watching. You can subscribe to our videos on YouTube or follow us at The Trade Risk. Have a great rest of the day, and we'll see you back here Friday for the weekend market recap.